Okay, I think I'm okay now for as far as YouTube is concerned. Let me mute that. Okay. All right. So welcome to the first day of this course, which of course is General Chemistry 1. And of course, the presumption would be that you would have completed at least high school chemistry or introductory chemistry, which is basically the same thing as high school chemistry. Firstly, let me apologize for the late publishing of this course. I thought it was published, and then this morning when I looked at it, I realized that I neglected to click on the publishing button. So I did that immediately as soon as I realized that I needed to do that. And I think that is the reason why you're the only person who is here so far. So the good news is that because I have set up the YouTube live for this class, I can post that video in Canvas under the modules link, and the rest of your class will be able to access it. Okay, so just to let you know what the plan is for today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first go through the syllabus, and after doing that, then I'll basically next indicate where in Canvas where different stuff will be so that you know where to go to get, for example, assignments and so on. And then I'm just going to start with chapter 1 of this course, all right? So that's basically an outline of what we're going to do today. So let me say that the syllabus, if you have not accessed it already, you can access it by going to the files link. So when you click on files, what you're going to see are different folders, which I have set up here. And the folder where the syllabus is located is right here, labeled syllabus. So if you click on that and then you click on this link, then that will get you to the syllabus. So let me just open up the syllabus right here. Let me put this aside. And let me magnify this to full page. Okay, so, all right. So already I see an error. I'm going to make that change. This should be fall 2021. I'm sorry, it should be spring 2021. Excuse me. So I'm going to make that change and upload the folder, upload that correction later on. So the very first page, you see just some general information about the course title, the course number, the number of credit hours, where I'm located, which on campus, well, it depends on the campus. Let me say that first. So if I'm at the Citrus campus, my office is in building 3, room 208E. And in the case of the Ocala campus, I'm in building 2, room 20I, 220I, I should say. And my, even though I'm hardly there, of course, given our current situation now with the pandemic, those are my offices on campus. But for the most part, I'll be at home. My office hours are given here. I don't anticipate any changes in those. So you can consult me if you have any questions concerning the course during those times. I'm definitely going to be available during those times on Skype. I'm going to say more, about Skype later. And my extensions, again, I'm hardly in my offices, so it's unlikely that you'll be able to get me through calling me on those extensions. And this is my regular college email address. Again, there's some limitation with that, which I'll talk about shortly, all right? So here's a statement concerning extended emergency closure. So if there's something happening like a hurricane, whatever, then you can call the number provided here. There are 2 numbers to find out whether or not the college will be closed, or you can check the college's website. Now for this course, I require that each student obtain a Skype account, all right? And the reason why I do so is because I find that it's very convenient in terms of face-to-face interaction or one-on-one interaction with students. So, you know, I will be available on Skype, for example, during my office hours, definitely, and maybe outside of those times. So basically the way this works is that you go to this URL And that allows you to sign up for your Skype account. And then as soon as you get your account, make sure that you contact me immediately so that I can have a record of you as being a part of my contact group. When you do so, please include your full name and the course number, all right? And that's important because I want to be able to make a distinction between my genuine students and people trying to sell me something. In fact, lately, I don't know why, for some reason, there is a toll-free number that have been calling me on Skype persistently, at least once a day for the past couple of days. So for that reason, you need to include your name and your course number so that I know that you are a student of mine. All right. Now my Skype address is given right here. And as stated here, there'll be a 10% bonus point added to your first test only for obtaining a Skype account. So as I said before, the purpose of using this is to allow for meetings and consultations during office hours. Now, as far as emails are concerned, I mentioned the regular college email that is above this statement right here. The problem with this email address is that when it comes to external emails being sent to me, they immediately go to my junk folder, and I very rarely check that folder out. So if you want to contact me via email, make sure that you do so through the Canvas system, all right? That's a more likely, you're more likely to get a prompt response if you send the email through the Canvas system. And another convenience of using the Canvas system is that when I get your email, I can actually see in the top part of the email what course of mine you're registered in. So therefore, I can answer your question appropriately based on that information. All right. Okay. Let me see here. Course description, prerequisite, which is introductory chemistry or equivalent with MAC 1105 with a grade of C or higher. And as stated here in this summary, basically it's an expanded view of CHM 1025, introductory chemistry. So it will cover topics such as atomic structure, bonding, formulas, nomenclature, reactions, stoichiometry, and so on. So what I will say is that for the first 5 chapters of this course, or maybe 6, 5 or 6 chapters, I'm going to go through them rather quickly because those chapters basically are already covered in your introductory chemistry. The only difference I would say is that the questions based on those chapters will be a bit more challenging, but in terms of the actual topics themselves, it's basically the same, same topics covered in introductory chemistry. Okay, this is of course the first semester of the 2-part general chemistry sequence offered at all state colleges and universities. And the students should develop an understanding of the topics that are given here: atomic and molecular structure, periodic table, gases, solutions, chemical reactions, and stoichiometry. So therefore, for that reason, it is expected that students will have a background equivalent to introductory chemistry. So that's as far as what you should expect in terms of the topics in this course is concerned. The textbook is the OpenStax Chemistry, which is the ISBN number is given here. And this textbook is available in the bookstore. It's relatively cheap, if I remember correctly. I don't think it's more than $10. And if you can't afford that, well, I've provided that same text in the form of a PDF document in Canvas. So let me show you where that is located. So let me see here. Let me go back to files here. Right here, OpenStax text, right? So if you click on that, as you can see, it's a rather large document, of course. It's a textbook. So if you click on that, you can download the textbook. You can print it off if you want to, or if you want to save it so that you can refer to it, that's fine as well. So that's basically as far as the text is concerned. That's a text we will be using not only for General Chemistry 1, but for General Chemistry 2, all right? In addition, you're going to need a simple non-programmable scientific calculator with the capabilities listed here: square roots, logarithms, and exponential operations. And of course, you'll be using your calculator for all your assignments, your test quizzes, and also in the lab if you're doing the lab course, all right? So, you know, you're expected to use your calculator for that purpose. Okay, assessment. You'll be given 3 exams, each worth 100 points, and they'll be given at the dates shown below. Now, I need to make this correction as well. They will not be done in a testing center. Basically, what I'll be doing is posting these tests online, and you'll be able to do it at home. You'll be given a deadline date by which they must be submitted. And I'm going to say more about how you'll be able to download and submit those tests. In fact, let me say this now, all right, since I'm on this topic. So as I said before, these tests will be posted online in Canvas. So let me show you again where in Canvas these tests will be located. So you're going to go to the files link again, and there's a folder which I have not published yet, which is labeled tests. So this is where the tests will be located, all right? Now, what you're going to do, of course, is download the test. I'm going to make an announcement in Canvas as to whether or not the test will be ready for you or posted for you on a particular date. I will include the deadline date for submission of the test. So the way this works is that you're going to download the tests, and this is pretty much true for all the quizzes that you'll be doing as well. You will complete it by hand, so no typewritten work. Everything must be done by hand, and then you will scan it. You're going to save it as a PDF document, which is very important. Do not save it as a JPEG. The reason why is because for some reason, when it comes to Canvas, it is very difficult for me to download the JPEG document, and sometimes it does not come out too clearly. I don't know why that is, but that's just simply how Canvas is. What I've discovered is that PDF documents works much better when it comes to Canvas. So unfortunately, I have to insist that your work must be submitted as a PDF document, all right? I will provide a portal, of course, online for you to upload the PDF document, and that's basically it. Let me just say also that when you scan the PDF document, make sure that it is very clear, because in the past I've had difficulty reading some assignments that were submitted by students. Sometimes they're dark in color such that I can't even make out what the student has written. Another issue that I've had, and this is becoming more frequent, is that some students, and I guess there's a reason why they do this. Sometimes what they do is that they scan like 2, 3, 4 pages of the assignment onto one page of the PDF document. That is not working for me, because when they do that, the print or the writing is very fine and I can't make it out. I have to be straining to read it and so on. So just make sure that each page of your assignment that you scan is basically on a separate PDF page, all right? Any questions so far? Any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, all right. I just don't want to be talking to myself, so that's why I'm asking. Okay, so let me go back to the, hold on 1 minute. Let me go back to the syllabus. Okay, so where am I? So yes, as I said before, I'm going to make some corrections here as far as the testing center statement here. Because the last time I checked, they're not accepting students who are not, disabled to be doing tests in the testing center, at least for the pandemic. Okay, let me see here. All work must be done in ink, no pencils, and these are the tentative dates for the test. And usually what I do is that I would give a week for you to complete the test, all right? So I would give the test on a Monday, and I expect it to be submitted by the Friday of that week, all right? The final exam date, that will be given later on. And here you see a breakdown as to how each part of the assessment, the different types of assessments, contributes to your total score or total grade. So the exams will be worth 50%, quizzes will be worth 20%, final exams will be worth 30%. And just to give an example as to how your grade will be calculated, So here we have a hypothetical student who has an average of 85% for their exams, 82 average for the assignments, and this should be quizzes. I'm going to make a correction here. I'm going to call these quizzes, and 90% for the final exam. So basically, as far as the exam is concerned, the regular semester exams, whatever your average is, which is 85% in this case, I'm going to multiply by 0.5, and that will give you 42.5 out of a possible 50%. As far as the quizzes are concerned, I'm going to multiply the average. In this case, it's 82% by 0.2, and that gives you 16.4 out of a maximum of 20. And then final exam, which is worth 30%, I'd multiply the average, which is 90 by 0.30 to give you the 27.0 maximum, well, out of a maximum of 30% for this particular hypothetical student. And then I will total averages, and in this case here, that is equal to 85.9%, which is equal to a B grade for that student. Okay, and below that you see how your grade will be determined. So as you can see, it's a letter grade system, which is the college system, and the different ranges for each of the letter grades. And each of these grades actually represents something in terms of what you would have gained from this course. So for example, if you are a student who earned an A, which of course is greater than 90%, or I should say greater than or equal to 90%, then basically what that means is that as far as my judgment is concerned, the student has mastered the full range of topics covered in the lectures and can very successfully apply these to solve the problems presented. The student can derive the important factors that lead to the best solution and makes particularly insightful contributions to class discussions. And then you see some descriptors for the other grades. So that's as far as grades A, B, B plus, C or C plus, and D are concerned. Of course, F, we all know what that means. I want to spend some time talking about the I grade, right? Because in the past, I've had issues with students who seem to have an erroneous concept of what the I grade is given for. In the past, I've had students come to me, especially when the semester is drawing to a close and the student is not satisfied with his or her grade. He or she would come to me and ask me to submit an I grade for them so that they will have more time to do some extra coursework so as to bump up their total score. It's very important that you understand that this is not the purpose of the I grade. The I grade is given in situations where a student is not able to complete the coursework because of some unforeseen circumstances that affects the student's ability to do so. So for example, if there's a sudden death in the family, or if their house got burned down, or if they got sick, or some unforeseen happening that would distract them from their schoolwork, then basically what I would do is that I would submit an incomplete grade for that student. What that means basically is that later on, early in the next semester, and there's a deadline date by which they need to complete the rest of the coursework, I would, of course, grade their completed coursework after the fact, and then I would replace the incomplete grade with the grade that they actually earn, all right? So this has to be done according to how I described it. Everything has to be above board. There are paperwork that the student would have to submit, I would have to sign off, and the dean would have to sign off on it as well. So everything has to be above board, right? I cannot just simply, give the I grade and that's it, right? Everything has to go through the proper channels. Okay, so I thought I should make that clear so that there's no misunderstanding later on in the semester. Okay, continuing to examinations and assignments. Exams will cover material from lectures and assignments. And again, this should be quizzes. And these exams will be primarily problem solving oriented, which I'm quite sure by now, if you have done introductory chemistry, you'd realize that chemistry, especially when it comes to doing your test and so on, what you'll find is that rote knowledge will not help very much, right? We're not asking you to memorize, list of information for you to regurgitate, all right? It's very important that you understand how to solve problems. So you may not, for example, see a problem in your test, or you may see a problem, I should say, in your test that you may not have seen before in any quiz or or even in some textbooks or whatever. And the reason why is because I don't want you guys to get into a mode of basically algorithmic learning where basically your problem solving is limited to doing questions of the same type. The only difference would be maybe the numbers that are placed in the question, all right? You need to be able to understand how to solve a problem based on your conceptual knowledge, what you have learned in your lecture and what you have read in your textbooks and so on. And the best way in order to prepare for tests and quizzes is that you, on your own, try to do as many problems as you can. And there are different sources that you can look to. You can look in your textbook for questions. In fact, the textbook has more than 100 questions. And if you try, I would say, if you try at least a quarter of those questions, then you should be in good shape, right? If you have any issue dealing with questions while you're studying, if you have any difficulty in understanding any particular concept, then please, please, please see me or call me on Skype to help. Because what I've found is that students who come to me for help tend to do better than students who don't, all right? Okay, so let me continue here. It says that each exam will consist of 3 questions. And let me just say here that sometimes I feel generous and I would provide even more than 3 questions, but you are to attempt at least, you know what, I think I need to change this as well. This is in the past actually. So I'm going to make a change about that. In fact, because of the new dispensation here, your tests will be basically a situation where you have to do all questions. It may be more than 3 questions, all right? So I'm going to make a correction to this statement as well in Canvas, all right? I just realized that I should have made that change. So let me skip that and talk about the quizzes, which will be posted in Canvas and are due on the date specified. And these must be completed by hand, as I said before. And you're going to submit it via Canvas. So you won't be able to submit it in person. You're going to submit it by Canvas, all right? And as I said before, make sure that your Canvas, I'm sorry, your quiz and your test and everything that you submit must be submitted as a PDF file, all right? Also, and I should have mentioned this before, but it's stated here, so I'm going to talk about it here. Make sure, and this is also very, very important, make sure that your name is written on every page of your test, your assignment, and so on, all right? So that's important because sometimes when I'm printing I'm printing like a class load of assignments or tests and so on. Sometimes, depending on the printer, the papers get shuffled up. And if your name is not on them, then I don't know how to put the test or assignment or quiz together for each particular student. So make sure that your name is written on every page. Okay, and below that you see basically a schedule of the topics and the dates on which these topics will be discussed. And let me see what comes after that. Due to unforeseen happenings, it may be necessary for the course assignment schedule to be altered, and I'll try to be fair about any such changes. And below that, you see a statement concerning academic integrity. Excuse me, 1 minute, let me just. Okay, academic integrity. Cheating and or plagiarism will not be tolerated and may result in an FF grade for the course. And what that FF grade means basically is that you have failed the course because you have violated the college's regulations concerning cheating and plagiarism. So that FF grade can be replaced if the student who obtained that grade attends an academic integrity seminar. And there's a charge. I don't know what the charge is for this 2-hour seminar. Upon completion of the seminar, the student will end up with the FF grade being replaced by the grade that the student actually earned. Now, if the student failed to attend the seminar, then that FF grade will become a permanent fixture on your transcript, all right? So please be aware of that particular rule. Disabilities. If you're a student suffering from some disability of some sort, then you need to register with the Office of Disability Services, formerly called the Access Services. And now I need to correct the information as far as this is concerned, because I just found out actually, This week, I found out that Dr. Colelli is not employed as a director of that office anymore, all right? And in fact, I was told that they're interviewing for a person to replace her. So I'm quite sure the office is still staffed. I don't know who is in charge in the interim, but if you're such a person that needs, has any type of disability, then you need to contact this office as soon as possible. And the way this works is that you go there and they basically decide on the type of accommodations that you would need, and they would give you some documents. They would also email me a document which informs me about the type of accommodation that I need to make for you, all right? So everything, as far as this is concerned, like what I discussed with respect to incomplete grades, must be above board, right? There's a paper trail that has to be established for pretty much legal reasons, all right? So make sure that you do that as soon as possible. Equal access, equal opportunity. The College of Central Florida does not discriminate against any person on the basis of race, color, ethnicity, religion, gender, age, marital status, national origin, genetic information, or disability status in its programs, activities, and employment. And if you have any further questions concerning the non-discrimination policies, you may contact Carol W. Smith, Equity Officer. Her information is provided, as well as her extension and email address. This may not apply in the case of an online environment, but there's a statement here about classroom decorum. I would say that, of course, decorum also has to be established in an online environment. So basically try to make sure, for example, that your background noises are muted. So you may mute yourself when you're online in this class. I've had one situation last semester where a student was arguing with, I guess, her parent, and everybody was listening to it. So, try to avoid, background disruptions and so on. And try not to engage in any disruptive behavior that may affect your fellow students' learning environment, because if such behavior continues, then you may be withdrawn from the course, and you may face also disciplinary action under the Code of Student Conduct. The CF Student Assistance Program, SAP. This is something that the college has invested in, I would say, for the past almost 10 years, maybe 8 years, because I've been here, well, actually less than 10 years, because I've been here since 2011. And they started this, I think, shortly after I came here. Now, this is basically a counseling program for students. I would recommend you guys taking advantage of this if you're facing, situations, personal problems that could affect, your school, work, and home lives, right? It's basically an HMO. The HMO is Bay Care Life Management. And the way this works is they provide a hotline, which is a toll-free number, which is provided here, right? This is the number right here. And the way this works is that, you call them, and if you call them between the hours of 8:30 and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, then you will get in contact immediately with a therapist, all right? And then he or she will be able to help you in your crisis situation at that time. Now, if you call outside of those hours on the weekends, then what will happen is that the therapist on duty will be paged, and he or she will promptly respond to the call, and again, we'll be able to offer his or her services in helping you to deal with whatever your crisis situation would be at that point, all right? So I would strongly recommend you guys utilizing this, especially in this, environment. It's very stressful on all of us, faculty included, right? In fact, you may not know this, but we have our own therapy service that's available to us as faculty. So we're all under the same situations, and therefore we all need help from time to time. And I would strongly recommend that you avail yourself of this resource that the college has provided. Okay, withdrawal. If you want to withdraw from this course, well, before I even say that, let me just say, I don't want anybody to withdraw from this course. I want everybody to be successful in this course, and I'll do everything in my power to make sure that you gain as much out of this course as possible. But I understand that life happens, right? And therefore, as such, you may need to withdraw from this course. And if you choose to do so, then it's very important that you complete all the necessary forms and have them signed by the appropriate parties, including yours truly. That's very important because in the past, I've had situations where students just stop coming to class, maybe after 3-4 weeks of class, they just stop coming to class. And then at the end of the semester, when I'm ready to enter the grades, I realize that the student is still listed as being registered in the class. The first time this happened, I made inquiries as to what I should do. And I was told that I have no other choice but to give the student the grades that they would have earned up to the point when they stopped coming to class, which for all the students that I've seen in this situation, they earned an F, which I didn't like doing, but that's basically what I am forced to do, all right? So I'm saying that to say that if you need to withdraw from this course, make sure that you do everything properly so that you don't end up with a grade that would negatively affect your GPA. Okay, let's move on from there. Some important dates. Yes, again, I need to make some changes here. So I'm going to post the important dates, including the holidays and so on. If I'm not mistaken, next, is it next Monday or the other Monday would be MLK Day. So we won't have class on that day. And there's also spring break. So I'll make sure that those dates are available here when I make the changes to the syllabus. Okay, some final statements here. Students should be alerted to the fact that withdrawals do not count in the CF GPA and may not be viewed favorably at the university level or for financial aid. A withdrawal counts as an attempt under the forgiveness/withdrawal policy and the course repeat policy. There are increased costs to take the course on the third attempt, and there may be a reason a withdrawal request may be denied. And if you have any further questions on these statements, you may see the college's withdrawal procedure. And then we have this document that I always attach to the end of my syllabus. It's called Evidence of Understanding. And basically what you need to do is complete this document and send it to me. You can email it to me as an attachment. Again, just like you would do for your quizzes and tests, you scan it, save it as a PDF, and you can just shoot me an email as an attachment, right? And basically this is just you're signing off saying that you have read and understood the information provided in the syllabus and the grade that you must achieve to pass the course, all right? So make sure you do that as soon as possible. And that is basically it as far as the syllabus is concerned. So are there any questions?
No, I'm supposed to take a picture of that and email it to you when I do it.
Okay, so, all right. So, so you're saying you won't be able to scan it then?
No, I can. I can scan it.
Okay. Okay. How should I put this? Scanning would probably be the best way to do it, but you can also take a picture of it. But again, you have to ensure that when you send it to me, it's in the form of a PDF document. And
I can scan it.
Okay, fine. All right. I'm just saying, what's that?
I said, yeah, I can scan it.
Okay, good. All right. Okay, good. I was just saying that, because I know some students don't have any scanning, no printer scanner or whatever. So I was just saying that, you can take a picture on your phone, but it has to be submitted as a PDF document. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions?
No.
No?
Nope.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now is commence to the course. So, before I do that, I just realized something. I don't think I talked about where other items are located in Canvas. So let me go back to Canvas here, right? So I talked about the text, right? The PowerPoints that I'm teaching from, they're in this folder right here. The quizzes will be available in this folder right here. It's not published, so when you go to Canvas, in your Canvas account, you won't see this, right? I haven't published it yet. The quiz answer key would be in this folder as well. The syllabus is available here. So if you click on this, the syllabus that I just showed you will be located here. And then here, there are some tables that I'm quite sure you'd have met before, tables that you're going to be using continuously in this course, including the periodic table. Let me just open this up so that you see what I'm talking about. So this is one page here, the fundamental constants. This contains all the constants that you're going to need in this course, you know, Avogadro's number, what 1 AMU is equal to, electron charge, electron mass, etc., Faraday's constant, molar gas constant, specific heat of water, blah, blah, blah. All right. And then there's this document here, which are several pages long, which contains the periodic table, which I'm sure you're familiar with by now. In fact, I have 2 versions of the periodic table here. I also have the list of elements alphabetically and their atomic masses and numbers and so on. This is another periodic table which shows you the common ions. This is a table which shows you some more ions, some more ions. So again, this is something that you'll be using continuously in this course. So where required, make sure that you consult this table, all right? Okay, what else? Thermodynamic data, you're not going to need this until when we get to chapter 6, right? So this basically gives you some enthalpy values that you'll be using in chapter 6, all right? So make a note of that. And this one, you won't be using this particular table until when we get to, if I'm not mistaken, either chapter 9 or 10, all right? This basically, and again, this is something you should have met before in your introductory chemistry course. Basically, this gives you information about the shapes adopted by molecules based on their Lewis structures, all right? But that's for later on, that's for chapter 10. I'll definitely refer to this when we get to that chapter. Okay, what else in this, on the files? Oh, so the tests will be available here and the test answer keys will be available as well, all right? So typically after I grade the tests, then I post the answer keys so that you guys can refer to it. You know, if you have any questions, if you want to contest any grades I've given, I have no problem with that. Just, you know, make sure that you view the test answer keys first and then you come and talk to me, all right? And I think that, oh, one more thing. Now, as far as, okay, so typically what I would do for these online classes is that I will record the lecture as a YouTube video, right? Which, if you notice, I set that up at the beginning of this Zoom video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post those videos under the modules link. So if you click on the modules link, right, you're going to get this. Now, this is from last semester. And in fact, I'm tempted to leave these up here. But I'm going to basically do the same thing this semester, right? I'm just basically going to post the videos on YouTube so that you can watch them, just in case, for example, you may have missed a class or you didn't understand something the first time I've mentioned it and you want to rewatch the video so that you can get a better or clearer understanding of a particular concept or idea or whatever, all right? So this is where all those videos are located. As I said before, these are the videos that I've posted. Now, these videos here are from introductory chemistry. I posted these last semester because some students were asking me about that because they forgot stuff from their introductory chemistry class. So I think I'm going to leave these here as well. All right, these are all YouTube videos. You can watch them at any time. Okay, so I think that's it. Pretty much that's all I use in Canvas. I also, you know, post announcements from time to time. The assignment are typically posted, can be uploaded here. This is from last semester. I'm going to change all of this so that it will be ready for you guys, all right, for your first assignment. Okay, let me see. There's a discussion section here. I hardly use it because, to be perfectly honest, I prefer to have discussions online in terms of Skype. all right? You know, because, you know, text does not lend itself well when it comes to explaining stuff, especially when it comes to mathematical equations and solving problems and so on. The grades are located here. And let me see what else. Right, so this is where you'll see your grades. Let me go back to files, or go back to the original page. And that's basically it. I don't honestly use anything else in this, in Canvas when it comes to interaction with students, all right? Okay, so if there are no questions about anything else I've discussed, I'm going to go directly to the first chapter of this course, which is basically an introduction to what chemistry is all about. As I said before, a lot of what we're going to discuss in the first 5 chapters would have been covered already in introductory chemistry. So I'm going to go through them quickly. However, if you have any questions, please feel free to stop me and ask, all right? I won't, you know, I welcome all questions. Let's put it that way, all right?
Before you get started, I do have a question. Do I still need the textbook, not the $10 textbook that you were talking about, but the actual textbook for the class? Do I still need to get that?
No, if you download the text from Canvas, that's fine. You don't need to buy the actual hard copy textbook.
Okay.
It's just that I know some students like myself, I prefer the hard copy, right? I find that reading the hard copy for me, I don't know if because I'm not as young as you guys, but for me, I prefer to read from hard copy as opposed to on the screen. But that's just me. But no, you don't need to buy the textbook.
Okay.
Okay, so chapter 1, what is chemistry and other related topics, right? So as I'm quite sure are aware of, chemical theory and applications are basically very important to our everyday lives. Our very lives, especially our interaction with the material world, is based on chemical concepts, right? And just to give you an example, a very simple example, what you see on the screen here is a tube filled with chlorine gas, right? And that simple gas, which is a diatomic molecule, has many applications, right? It's used in the synthesis of medicines. It is used as a disinfectant, and there are other examples of chlorine use, all right? So basically what you'll find is that understanding the theory for, how a particular chemical works, like chlorine, basically makes it very useful for us to apply it to certain situations, all right? And this is basically the one important reason why we study chemistry, because the applications will benefit mankind. And another thing that's very important for you to recognize is that chemistry, like all the other sciences, undergoes rapid change, right? So today you might find a use for one particular compound, and then next week you'll find that that compound can also be used in different situations, again, to benefit mankind, all right? So chemistry is a constantly changing field. There are new discoveries being made every day. And to be perfectly frank, it's very hard to keep up with all the new changes, even though I try to from time to time, but there's always something new that is on the horizon when it comes to the sciences and chemistry in particular. All right, so what is chemistry? Chemistry is basically the study of matter and the changes it undergoes, right? And in chemistry, we're concerned with several aspects. For one, we're concerned with the composition of matter. In other words, we're concerned with basically the stuff or the components that makes up a particular substance. So for example, just to use a simple example, water is 2 parts hydrogen and 1 part oxygen. And that is of course reflected in its formula H2O, all right? And that's very important for us to understand how substances behave. We need to understand the makeup, but that's not enough. We need to understand also the properties, right? We need to basically do experiments to find out the type of characteristics displayed by different substances, right? So when we're talking about the properties, we're talking about things like color, we're talking about things like taste, we're talking about things like boiling points, melting points, refractive index, the type of reactions they undergo, etc. Right? These, all that I've just mentioned here, would fall under the category of properties, which are basically the defining characteristics associated with a substance. And then connecting the properties and the composition would be the structure. In other words, at the microscopic level, how the different substances or how the different particles, I should say, are connected to each other in order to form the gross structure of that particular substance, all right? So going back to the water example, at the microscopic level, we know now that water consists of two elements, hydrogen and oxygen. And not only that, but the oxygen atom is connected to the two hydrogen atoms by what we call covalent bonds. And we're going to discuss bonding later on, where we're going to get into details about not only the type of bonding, but the shapes that molecules such as water will adopt, all right? So this is basically in a nutshell what chemistry is all about, all right? So I like this diagram here, right? Which shows you the fact that at the heart of a lot of fields and disciplines that people are engaged in, chemistry is basically central, right? Chemistry is definitely the central science. So pretty much all other sciences will have some connection with chemistry, right? So chemistry is connected to physics, connected to biology, you know, all the basic sciences, the natural sciences, but even those sciences which are hybrids of different sciences, such as biochemistry, toxicology, medicine, computational chemistry, and so on, electronics, polymers, nutrition. Basically, you need to have some fundamental understanding of chemistry in order to engage in these different fields, all right? Forensic science, pharmaceuticals, etc. all right? Engineering, nanotechnology, all of these different fields play some part, or chemistry, I should say, play some part in all these fields, all right? And even outside of the scientific disciplines, chemistry is involved as well, right? So for example, one can pursue a chemistry degree and then after that decide to go into law. There's a special area of law known as patent law, where basically we're dealing with, in this particular area, with inventions and you know, people getting patents for their inventions so that they have rights to it, so that they can sell it to a company, and you know, the company can use it to make products and so on. So that's one area that chemistry is involved in. Business, right, which is related to other areas like pharmaceuticals and toxicology and so on. So if you look at pharmaceutical companies, they employed an army of chemistry folks, different areas of chemistry, organic especially, but you also have medicinal chemistry, physical chemistry, and so on. And these guys are involved in developing products, pharmaceuticals, which again, you know, make our lives better, all right? So chemistry is it, as far as I'm concerned. Of course, you know, I'm quite sure my colleagues who teach biology and physics would probably disagree, but, and of course I'm biased. But, you know, I think there's a strong argument to be made to say that chemistry is the central science and is central to understanding all the other sciences that exist. Okay. Continuing. So some key ideas here, and these are things that you should have met before. Matter, the definition here, anything that has mass and has volume, all right? Atoms, the smallest distinctive unit in a sample of matter, and molecules, which is basically a collection of two or more atoms held together by covalent bonds. And what you're looking at here in is what we call a space-filling model. The red sphere represents the oxygen atom, and the white spheres here represents the hydrogen atom. And this gives you a picture of the water molecule, because not only tells you about the composition, it shows you how the atoms are connected to each other, and also shows you the shape of the water molecule, which is a bend shape, all right? Okay, so we talked about properties earlier, all right? Remember what we said about properties. Properties are basically those defining characteristics of a particular substance, right? And what you'll find is that we can categorize, I should say, properties into two areas. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. We have physical properties, which are those characteristics that when displayed can be observed without observing any change in the composition or structure of the substance. So an example of a physical property would be color. Another example would be boiling point, the freezing point, taste, right? These are all examples of physical properties, all right? So these are properties that can be observed without making any changes to the structure or composition of the substance. And then we have what are known as chemical properties. And these are properties which, when observed, involves the substance being changed chemically, especially with respect to its composition and structure into something else, all right? So one example of a chemical property would be flammability, right? Because when something is burning, it's actually a chemical reaction that is taking place where the substance is undergoing a change from the original substance to something else. So for example, as you can see here on the screen, we have a dish here. To one half of the dish, we have copper metal, and the other half is filled with ethanol. That's the liquid right here, all right? So as you can see here, the ethanol is burning, right? And as it is burning, what is happening is that the ethanol is being converted to new substances, mainly carbon dioxide and water, all right? So that's a chemical property displayed by ethanol. Now, the copper here is being shown here because it is displaying a particular physical property. As you can see, the copper has a kind of reddish brown color, all right? And it's shiny as well, right? So basically, what I've just stated are properties displayed by copper. The fact that it has a reddish brown, shiny appearance, all right? So those are just two examples of, well, one example of physical and another example of chemical property. Okay, so this table here goes into the distinction between physical and properties, physical and chemical properties in more detail. And what you'll notice here is that as far as the physical properties are concerned, they can be subdivided into two other categories. Those physical properties that are said to be qualitative, and then the others which are said to be quantitative. Now, the qualitative ones are basically the ones that you cannot measure. In other words, you cannot, attach a number to describe this particular or those particular properties. So for example, sulfur is yellow. That's a qualitative property because you cannot measure color, right? Hydrogen sulfide stinks. Again, that's another qualitative property, again, because you cannot measure it, and so on and so forth, as far as qualitative is concerned. And then when it gets to quantitative, these are properties that you can actually measure, as the term quantitative implies. So for example, water for the bath is at 40 degrees. That is a quantitative physical property. Or the density of water at 20 degrees is 0.998 grams per mil. That again is another quantitative physical property, because in each of these cases, there's a number which reflects a measurement that's associated with these properties. Then below we have chemical properties. As we said before, these are properties that when observed involves a chemical reaction or a chemical change or a change in the structure of the substance or its composition. So the first example is a good one right here. The fact that iron, when exposed to moisture and oxygen, undergoes rusting. It changes from iron, all right, pure iron, to rust. Rust is basically a compound which is formed when iron combines with oxygen. It forms a compound known as iron 3 oxide, all right? And there are some other examples that are shown here. So the last one here is nitroglycerin explodes, right, when detonated. And that's another example of a chemical property displayed by nitroglycerin. Basically, when it explodes, it forms different substances, carbon dioxide, water, and if I'm not mistaken, nitrogen. All right, so those are just some more examples of physical and chemical properties. Now, if you understand physical and chemical properties, then you should be able to understand physical and chemical changes, because they're based on the same idea, all right? So let's get into this. A physical change is basically a change in appearance, but the composition or structure of the substance does not change. So a good example of this is the sublimation of ice in the winter. Now, I don't know if you know what sublimation is, but sublimation is basically when you have a solid substance transitioning to the gaseous state, right? Are you familiar with dry ice? Hello? Anybody is there?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. You need to respond when I'm asking, all right? When I call for a response, all right? If you take a piece of dry ice, as you know, and let's say you put it on a table or a desk, then you see some fumes emanating from it, and you see the dry ice solid start shrinking and shrinking, right? So that is called sublimation, okay? And sublimation is an example of a physical change, right? Whether or not it's dry ice or ice itself, or iodine. Iodine is another substance which undergoes that kind of process, right? Basically, using dry ice as an example, dry ice is basically frozen carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide is carbon dioxide regardless of whether or not it's in the solid state or the gaseous state. In other words, it has undergone no change in its composition nor any change in its structure, all right? So that's basically how that works, all right? So that's an example of a physical change. And I'm quite sure we can think of other physical changes. So let me turn it over to you guys. What other examples of physical changes can you think of? Can you come up with? And I noticed that there's another person who have joined us. Oh, Keisha Robert. Oh, by the way, Keisha, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes. Just to let you know, that document, I don't know if, well, your advisor at your school, she was in contact with me about the change of grade situation, right? I submitted a form, but apparently I made an error, and therefore they sent it back to me, and I made a change. So there's some delay. I made a change yesterday, so I anticipate that the change would be reflected, should be reflected by. Usually it takes about a week, so by Monday of next week you should see this. You should see the change.
Okay.
Just to
It
let you
did.
know.
Thank you. It did change, but the only thing, like the grade changed, but the GPA stayed the same. So did they
Oh,
change at the same time, or does it take a
I
minute?
don't know that. You know, you're saying something that I've never heard of before, so I really don't know about that. You
Okay.
probably need to. Who should you talk to? I'm going to look up the name of the lady at. Oh gosh, who's it?
Is it Miss Martinez? Because that's my dual enrollment advisor.
You know what? Yeah, talk to her. I was thinking of somebody on my campus, but talk to her about it, and she'll get in. I think she knows who to talk to.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. Okay, so back to our discussion. So can any of you come up with any examples? I mean, nothing complicated from your everyday experience of a physical change.
Evaporating water.
Okay, evaporating water. Any other examples you can think of?
Ripping paper up.
Ripping paper up, another example.
Folding clothes.
Okay. That's an interesting one. But yes, that's also a good example of physical change. So in all those examples that you have noted, there's no change in, the substance itself. The substance is not undergoing any fundamental change. There's no change in the structure. There's no change in the composition. What it was before is the same thing after the change, all right? Okay, and then we get to chemical changes. Whoops, what's going on here? This thing is not, okay, whoops. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. Chemical changes. Now, in the case of chemical changes, there is a change which results from a change in composition or the structure of the substance. So one example here is the spoilage of foods, right? So can anyone come up with, let's say, 3 examples? Again, nothing complicated from your everyday experience of a chemical change.
Rusting metal.
Okay, we mentioned that before, yes. Any other examples you can think of?
Hold on.
It doesn't have to be complicated, nothing, anything from your everyday experiences.
Burning something.
Yeah, burning anything, actually. You're right.
Yeah.
Burning anything, burning paper, burning, cardboard boxes, or, burning sulfur, burning anything that involves a flame in direct contact with the substance and the substance is burning would be a chemical change. All right. One more example can you come up with?
Digestion.
That's a very good example, actually, digesting. In fact, the process of digesting food is a series of chemical changes, all right? For example, if you eat like anything starchy, there are enzymes in your saliva. In fact, there's one particular enzyme called amylase, which breaks down starch into simpler sugars, right? And that's just the first step in this process, right? And there are many other processes that would take place in the stomach, in the liver, and so on and so forth. So that's another good example of chemical change, or I should say chemical changes, because as I said before, there are several changes taking place in the digestion of foods. Okay, so, oh gosh, 10:37. I'm wondering if I should start with this. Because this will be a bit involved. You know what? I'm going to stop here. So the next class, we're going to start this discussion of classifying matter. All right. Okay. So that's basically it for today. Unless there are any questions. Any questions?
I just wanted to ask, this class is formatted the same as introductory chemistry, right? So we just like wait for you to post everything?
Well, no, actually this one, well, in introductory chemistry, what I did was that if I remember correctly for your class, did I have a live lecture or did I just post the videos?
You had a live lecture.
Oh, okay. So basically it's the same thing. Okay. The reason I'm asking is because there are two ways that I teach my introductory chemistry class. I don't remember which one I did for you, but I usually, in some cases I post videos, video lectures, and in other cases I would have a live class. So this one is live as well. So
Okay.
basically we'll be meeting every Tuesday and Thursday, 9:30 to 10:45, like this.
All right. But do you for quiz 1, we have to wait for you to post it,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Just
Oh,
like
yes. In fact, I'll make sure put an announcement out about each quiz that I will post, and same thing is true for the tests as well.
All righty. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay. So let me apologize again for the late publishing of the course in Canvas. I thought I'd pressed the publish button, but apparently I didn't. So that's why you're only able to see the page today when I published it. So, but continue to monitor the page for more information. As I said before, I'm going to make corrections to the syllabus, and I'm going to post it later on today. I'll be available for office hours today, of course, from 11 to 4 p.m. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me via Skype during that time. All right. So if there are no questions, that's pretty much it. And enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next class. All right.
Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.